If you've been watching the news, you know all too well that between the wildfires and hurricanes, disaster can strike in an instant. Our next guest wants to make sure that you have a plan in case it lands on your doorstep. Here with more on National Preparedness Month is David Morstad. He's here with FEMA. It's great having you, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing very well. I'm looking behind you. It seems a little bit quiet. That's good. FEMA, quiet, good. It means nothing crazy is going on at the moment, but we all know that for whatever reason, these disasters can really strike in one way or another. You're urging families to make a plan for when that does happen. Explain how.
Yeah, absolutely. FEMA's committed to developing a culture of preparedness across the United States so that we can have less disaster suffering.
Absolutely. So how many families do you think actually have a plan in place? Because I'll tell you, for example, well, I'm from an area in Boston that never gets tornadoes. And one year, a tornado went right down Broadway. Never happens. Never happens. I don't think anyone in Revere had a plan for a tornado. Do you have to plan for a certain event, or do you just plan for all of the events?
Well, I think it's important that you have a general plan that can apply to when an emergency or disaster strikes you or your family or the business where you're working. So we encourage people to have an emergency savings fund so that they have enough resources for up to a week to take care of themselves, to gain life-saving skills such as first aid or CPR, to have an emergency plan, and most importantly, make it a part of their daily lives, and then practice that plan. And then also check their insurance coverage and make sure they have the right insurance protection. And as the chief executive of the National Flood Insurance Program, I especially want them to make sure they have the right coverage if a flood event should affect their property. Absolutely,
and that seems to be happening more often as the years go on, especially when it comes to the life-saving skills, whether it's CPR or we just saw, unfortunately, in Jacksonville, there was a man that was working at a restaurant that was able to create a tourniquet for one of these victims and save this person's life. So getting those skills can really be the difference between life and death, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. Each of us are really the first responders until local help or local authorities can arrive on the scene. And so having those skills is just very important for us to be able to build this culture of preparedness, being ready for what might be around the corner. And then, as I started out with, also that we can reduce disaster suffering.
Of course. If you had to guess, if you had to bet, what do you think the percentage of families that actually have a plan in place are?
Well, not near enough. I don't have the number right off the top of my head, but clearly not enough people take this as serious as what we want them to, and that's why we're focusing this month on a series of activities to raise the level of awareness, the level of understanding, so people do have a plan, have an emergency savings fund, get the right skills, and check their insurance, especially making sure they have flood insurance coverage.
Worth noting that emergency fund you might want to actually have on hand and not have via like a debit card or something, because heaven forbid the power's out, you're not able to swipe a card at that point, are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's part of raising the level of awareness so that people can think through these types of circumstances and build a plan, whether it's having cash on hand or whether it's just having a communication plan so that you know who to contact and maybe even have a contact outside your area. All of those are the things that you want to work through so that they have applicability to you and your family.
David, it's great stuff, and I know we can get more information on that website. Pleasure. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Be prepared in the face of disaster. You want to learn more, you visit ready.gov/September. September, by the way, National Preparedness Month, and having a plan in place could really save the life of you or someone you love.